Hello everyone and welcome back once again to Aarklash Legacy, and this is the second episode I'm doing post-commentary on. After that it'll be live again, if the recording works. Still in this outside area, we just left the cave full of undead, and now we are in a kind of mountainy area full of undead. Yeah. I might just be a little more quiet than in the last episode, because I feel the game really doesn't render itself very much to post-commentary. There's so little stuff to respond to outside of the combat. The combat is great and fun, and I think doing live commentary, it really works out. It's kind of similar to doing live commentary to a football game, but post-commentary to a football game would probably be fairly bad. So I do apologize, but what can you do? It also means that during the normal game I kind of notice when the loud bits of combat are and such, and I can be quiet during those. Can't do this now, because I'm currently not listening to the audio. That would distract me too much. It just doesn't really work out. I've tried it. So I don't hear what's going on, which means I might just say stuff while the combat's really noisy, and you might not be able to hear it. Which I do apologize for, but what can you do? And in this episode I can try out the lightning skill on Nella a few times, which now hits 2 targets, so that's nice. And yeah, that's the arena we came from, and as you can also see, there's another one coming up shortly. Firstly, another demonic satyr and a skeleton in armor. Usually groups of enemies won't be that small, so we will see multiples. And this is the projectile that can't be avoided, so I just moved Knocker slightly to the side so that no one else would be hit. Don't think it worked out. I think Nello took a hit, but that's okay. And this episode also ran a little longer than usual. I try to keep them below 25 minutes, but my absolute limit is 30, so I'm still under that. Mostly because I just forgot a certain thing, which I had to go back to. Okay, so at this point I decided to just save again quickly. It's important in this kind of game to save often. And then I just went into the second bone arena, obviously similar to the first one. Get a little bit of cutscene. Well, not really cutscene, but just a little bit of a video sequence. And here we are. Unfortunately, this time the mages are so far apart I will not be able to interrupt them both on Nella. So unfortunately I just have to deal with the hand of death on one of them. Now this is a projectile which can be avoided, so I do that quite a bit. And this really is this problem with these arena fights, that they can be a little claustrophobic. And here again, I had to move everyone out the way so that the hands of death wouldn't hit anyone. Neither could the fingers of death. Which sounds funny when you say it like that, but that's just what the skills are called. They are the hands of death and the fingers of death. And here I accidentally healed an enemy because my Star of Vitality now passes through units and heals everything in its path. Which is a little unfortunate, but... But yeah, the first enemy was already down, so that was very useful. The second one was close to death. And of course, the more I kill the enemies, the easier the battle becomes, as is always the case. It's a little weird how you have to switch, you have to cancel spells that you've accidentally clicked. You can't just click on another skill and it doesn't replace your original selection. So you have to go outside of your skill selection area and then left click, right click actually, to get rid of the skill, which is a little strange. And yeah, here I just made sure to check the physical armor of the skeleton mage is really low, so Frinz is very good at dealing damage to them. He still hasn't gotten a level up, so no skills unlocked as of yet. But you will see his full selection of skills in this episode. I really don't like Frinz very much, so I'm not going to use him extensively. Actually, kind of strangely, my favorite team is the team we originally started with, which is a little unfortunate. But trust me, there will be plenty of variation in the
refreshing
in the game. And that's another hands and fingers of death avoided. Here I just taunted the archer so that Nella would take a little less damage. Because she's not as sturdy as Nocco, obviously. And as Frinz's level up, he now unlocked his next skill. I do show it in, I think just after this fight actually, but it's still going on for a while, so I'll just tell you now. What it does is it turns one of my party members into a basically living bomb.
Just our luck.
Keep on your toes. He's full of magic and bile.
And he stinks of it!
Okay, I think I zoom in a little bit on this guy, this necromancer. He's holding his own head, which you can't really tell if you're not looking in full HD. Which, by the way, I think I forgot to mention that last episode in the post-commentary. I am recording these in 1080p, so I really do recommend you watch them in as high a resolution as you possibly can. Because obviously the size of the font and such, they are designed for a full HD screen. So if you watch it on a smaller resolution, you will not be able to read stuff very well. Here's his saturation mechanism, by the way. I place a bomb on an ally. After 20 seconds the bomb explodes, dealing damage to enemies around that ally and the ally itself. Which I just don't like that too much. And yeah, this necromancer has some nasty abilities. His this Army of the Dead passive ability allows him to automatically resurrect undead which are close to him. He explodes after dying for 1000 damage, which I completely forgot when he died, so that wasn't very nice. I have 5 seconds to get away from him, I just completely forgot. He has a nasty immobilization, which immobilization basically disables a character completely, not very nice. He has an AoE effect to reduce armor, physical armor, and he can inflict fear. Now I can't interrupt the fear effect. I can, however, interrupt his immobilization, which is useful. Because it's 10 seconds of a character being unable to do anything. And in this fight, if you're playing this game along, I recommend put pressure on the necromancer as much as possible. And I think his first ability made him immune against reduction effects, so it was kind of silly that I put a reduction effect on him. But yeah, he will eventually, during the fight, resurrect a bunch of undead around himself. But I really do suggest keep the pressure on him, just try to kill him. As you can see, there's a priest, there's a mage, and 2 skeletons in armor. But if you kill his allies, his friends, they will just resurrect after a while anyway. So it's best to just try and kill him. And the Hands of Death coming at me from behind are fairly easy to avoid. I think I do get hit on Nella here, but I could have avoided it, so that's my own fault. But knock her up again, move Wenru out the way. I think, yeah, do actually do that properly. And then the Necromancer's almost dead now. And there we go, that's the Fingers of Death avoided as well. Nella took a hit, but that's okay. And then when the Necromancer's down, the rest of the enemies are mostly clean up. As you saw, he just feared Knocker, but his fear effect only lasts 5 seconds, so it's somewhat not as bad as the immobilization. And here, by the way, is the point where I completely forgot that guy exploded on death, so it looks like my party is about to die, but don't worry. Wenru has her AoE heal now, heals in a straight line. And that's everyone, or almost everyone at least, pretty much back on their feet again. I think I get back there on Nella just in time to interrupt the mage. And now it's all looking fine again, nothing to worry about. The skeletons and armor are approaching death quite quickly, and the rest of the party is fine now. The priest is, I think, about to die, there we go. And now it's just clean up, so just go for the Necromancer. He may sound tough, but he really isn't. There's the lightning bolt. The propagation effect has a limited range, so I couldn't hit both of these guys with a single lightning. And there we go. Now I think it's time to check my inventory and do some equipping. And also do some skill points, like Laura said, 2 points. I invested both of these into Death Wish to increase the magic damage. Increases the damage over time. From 300 to 400. And this increases the damage and the size of the explosion. So the explosion has now a range of 7 instead of 4 meters and 1000 instead of 800 damage. Quite nice. And then for rings I got a fairly nice ring for anyone, for any physical. Would have been nice for Denzel or maybe Wenderu. It would have been okay for Friends as well, except for the critical hit multiplier, which wouldn't have used on him. But he can still take advantage of the magic armor, of course. So I just gave it to him. I think I gave Nella one of the earrings because of the mana regen. Yes. That one's just a pure buff. Nothing bad about it, pretty much. And then the duration of reduction effects one, I think I gave to like Loris maybe? I'm not certain though. Nope, apparently not, okay. Oh yeah, just gave it to Friends. Makes sense. And then for relics, he still didn't have one, so I just gave him any relic. The mana regen one is useless. Nella has a fairly good one already. And that's the items dealt with. And by the way, you can let me know if you don't want me to do the item management on camera. I will kind of stop doing it and just equip it off camera between episodes. I don't know how interesting that is for you. I always find that to be quite enjoyable though. Now I want to check out the place beside the arena here. obviously a bunch of enemies, but it's easier in this case because we essentially have Knocker moving in first, so Knocker can take the majority of the enemies by herself. I forgot to taunt that skeleton in time, so just going after Nella a little bit. Which is fine, it's all good now. In this situation it's pretty much ideal. I have Nella in the back, not able to interrupt the casters, and Knocker's taking the physical damage from the skeletons and armor, while the rest of the team is just dishing out damage. This would obviously be an ideal location for the Death Wish, but I obviously don't have that with me because of not bringing Negloris. Here, by the way, I do interrupt the enemies a few times. The skill I'm interrupting is their Death Explosion, which doesn't make much sense to interrupt, unless you know you can kill them before they cast it again. It has no cooldown, so interrupt it and they start casting it again instantly. But if you if they're almost dead and you are confident you can get enough damage in, it can still be worthwhile to interrupt it. And here I wasn't paying attention and Knocker was taking some punishment, but 1 Sail Feel, 1 Star of Vitality, and she was fine again. So that's not really an issue. And you might notice we're now at 6 party members. We will get a total of 8, so 2 more coming up. Not in this episode though, but fairly soon. And then we can get to this chest, which is nice. Get a Cold Relic and an Earring of Fire. I don't know if I checked them out immediately, maybe later on. Yeah, I do, okay. So that ring is junk. Even Fritz has a better one. Fritz. And this one here is a it would have been a slight buff to mana regen on Nella, but a decrease in magic damage, so I choose not to go with it. Because it wouldn't have actually improved the mana regen, it would have stayed at 8.5 anyway. Just because that slight increase wasn't enough to get 0.1 additional mana regen. But you've seen my playstyle now, you know why it's so important for me to have good mana regeneration on Nella. She's my main crowd control person. So it's obviously nice to have her with a good mana regen. And here once again, Nella does what she does best. She just goes behind the enemy and interrupts them. In this game there's no proximity thing to the aggro system. So I believe standing close to an enemy doesn't mean you're more likely to get aggro. It has to do with the damage you deal to them, or maybe just to how dangerous they consider you to be. But in general, I don't think standing close to the enemies is really a bad thing in this game. And here I'm just kind of tearing through these guys, not leaving any, not taking any hostages. It's a very quick fight, very fast actually. But that's mostly because the enemies were largely useless, and there were very few of the nasty casters, for example. They were mostly just random skeletons, which just don't do very much. And here I kind of messed up the first knockdown. I ran a little too far, but I got the second one in time, so that's okay. And Nella was almost dead. I mean, she was down to maybe 30%, but with only 1 enemy left, that was okay. And we got a Ring of Blood and a Relic of Energy for our troubles. Okay, let's see who gets the ring. I mean, Nella's ring is kind of terrible, so I'm surprised I didn't give it to her. but I believe I ended up giving it to Frinz. I have to remember Nella's ring being so terrible. She still has a blue one. Okay, no one had any additional skill points to spend, so that's interesting. And then I know there's a bit on the map which I've so far missed, but I do notice it eventually. Aside from that, I believe we're almost done actually with this section.
The hold is less than a day's march from here.
How old are you, Leclaris? Acheron was sealed off 8 centuries ago. You can't be that old.
I am older, and the goldmongers are older still.
Well, you look great, Brother Lek. For someone your age, that is. Any tips you want to pass on? Special diet, maybe?
He smells dead.
I am a spirit. I have neither earthly form nor scent.
I think it's the rest of us who are starting to smell. I can't wait to get to the guild hold in a nice hot bath.
I hope that is all that's waiting for us.
Okay, so I was just about to finish the episode actually and do just a quick survey of the map, of where we'd come from basically. And there I noticed you could see the chests on the map actually. And then I noticed down at the bottom of the map, there was a section I hadn't done yet. So there, those are the chests we took. Then, oh dear, what's that down there? Couldn't remember going there. Had to make sure again I was on the right track, and yes I was. And down there was an unopened chest. Obviously that would be guarded, so I just had to move my squad down there again. Which means a little bit of a just a waiting section coming up. Just because it takes the squad a while to get down there. Then we get another fun little fight. And there we are. Wasn't too bad, I guess. And there they are. Now I tried to click on the main enemy here, but he hadn't technically popped yet. His animation was going, but he hadn't actually spawned on the map, so I had to wait for a second. And he's just a elite guy, not even a boss. He has a weak death explosion, not doing as much damage as the one of the necromancer. And I think we've seen most of the other skills already. He can he just has some kind of annoying spells, I guess. Nothing terrible. And quite a balanced defense as well. No particular weakness to physical or magic damage. So I used Nella for the interrupts mostly. Don't think I even tried to get the second mage. Just because. Now the Fingers of Death went onto Knocker. So after if he successfully casts the Hand of Death, he will then target random enemies for the Fingers of Death. And that's when you have to be careful and kind of make sure which target he's actually aiming at, because they might be different from the initial target, and yeah, then you have to pay attention so you can avoid it. But at least they can be avoided, so that makes them less dangerous. Obviously it helps when you fight in a really open area, which we don't really do here, but there we go, that's that skeleton dealt with. I think I taunt the other one so it doesn't hit on Nella too much. So it doesn't hurt her too much, is what I was meaning to say. Now I finally decide to move Nella to interrupt the other skeleton. And later on in the game I might have different or additional methods of making enemies unable to cast. Denzel can get a silence ability. I think Yosoka and Wendaru, and I don't know about the others, but a fair amount of my party will eventually have some kind of anti-magic abilities. And of course Nella will hugely improve her immobilization ability to make it a very powerful crowd control skill. Okay, the mage is almost dead now, so we only have the Flesh Spectre left. I kind of left his window open on the side. Not really intentional, but hey, at least you see his health at all times. And that was that. That was the rest of the group dealt with. So at this point I think I just went through the equipment before ending the episode. And I just junked the blue ones actually. Same with the white ones. And then this relic again has a kind of... it's kind of useless. So I believe I just junked that as well to get a different one to fill up the recycle gauge. But yeah, it just... there was no character that I saw as being in need of that, I believe. No, actually, I think I did give it to Nokka. Because she doesn't really need the health bonus that much. And the healing received is nice, 16% now. Yeah, I decided not to give the old relic to anyone, though, as far as I can tell. Yeah. The one I got in return wasn't that good either, though. Even though I think it kind of works on Leglorus, actually. Yeah. He doesn't need his MP regen that much, especially because his advantage allows him to recover mana when he attacks. But aside from that, yeah, not much interesting stuff happening. Nokka, I maxed out the Obscure Blood to increase the health drain. It's a more defensive option. I could have also just increased the damage, which would have slightly increased the health drain, of course, because that depends on damage. But yeah, there you go. And for Denzel, I decided to go with the health stealing on attacks instead of... oh. And Core Catalyst, the last skill of Friends, allows him to increase his dodge chance but reduce movement and attack speed for 15 seconds. So he becomes better at dodging and slower. However, that was the episode. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye bye!